This is O'Neill. The lab report says you were carrying 4 ounces of polydichloroethane, which is 400 doses.
Outland wasn't just a sci-fi thriller. It was a collision. Old-school Western grit slammed into a futuristic nightmare on Jupiter's moon, but nothing came easy. The title misfired, the tech failed, the schedule imploded, and Connery nearly walked. These are 15 weird facts about Outland. Step inside the pressure dome, because out here, one crack is all it takes. Number 1. The film's working title was Io, and it was a marketing nightmare. Before Outland was Outland, Peter Hyams wanted to call it Io, named after Jupiter's volcanic moon, where the story takes place. It sounded bold and alien. There was just one problem. Nobody could read it correctly. Half the industry thought it said 10. The other half thought it said low. Posters looked confusing. Trade ads looked worse. Marketing panicked. Hyams realized the film's first impression was going to be an unfixable disaster. Within weeks, the title was scrapped. Io died, and Outland was born. A single vowel change saved Warner Brothers from the strangest sci-fi title blunder of the decade. Number 2. Outland was the first film ever to use Introvision, a groundbreaking in-camera effects process. Long before digital compositing and CGI, Outland became the first movie to use a visual effects technique called Introvision. It allowed actors to appear inside miniature sets in real time. No green screens, no optical compositing, just an in-camera sandwich of foreground, live actors, and background elements that locked together with shocking precision. When Hyams looked through the camera, he saw the final effect instantly. No waiting for post-production, no hoping technicians fixed it later. Introvision made it look like Sean Connery was walking through a massive industrial complex on Jupiter, when in reality, he was surrounded by a few models and projection screens. Critics later compared the effect to a magic trick. Hyams wasn't just shooting a film, he was inventing a new visual language.
Present that it can't be science fiction.
Number 3. Stephen Goldblatt was hired as insurance in case the new technology failed. Peter Hyams liked to operate the camera himself. It was his trademark. Shadows, smoke, long lenses, hard contrast. Warner Brothers didn't like that. They worried that if the experimental Introvision tech didn't work, they needed someone to blame who wasn't also the director. So they hired Stephen Goldblatt as the official cinematographer. Goldblatt later admitted he quickly realized he was basically a studio safety net. Hyams was shooting most of the film with his own hands, and Goldblatt was stuck trying to make it look collaborative on paper. He stayed for the learning experience, but the politics soured him. Outland became the only movie in his entire career where he skipped the wrap party.
I meant to say to a cinematographer, I didn't realize you shot that.
Number 4. Outland's schedule cost Sean Connery a cameo in Chariots of Fire. Sean Connery wasn't just the star of Outland. He was also juggling one of the busiest post-Bond periods of his career. But when Outland's production ran long, it cost him something he cared about, a major extended cameo in Chariots of Fire. Connery had been lined up for the role. The producers wanted him, but Outland's delays made it impossible. By the time Connery was free, the scene had already been shot without him. Connery was furious. He had bet on a gritty, grounded sci-fi western, and instead it cost him a place in one of the most celebrated films of the decade. The frustration hung over the set for weeks. Number 5. Connery left set mid-shoot to secretly film a Time Bandits cameo. In the middle of production, Terry Gilliam called in a favor. He wanted Connery for a surprise cameo in Time Bandits, which was shooting nearby. Connery had promised him months earlier, and a promise was a promise. Warner Brothers didn't want their leading man disappearing to work on another movie, especially not during a complex effects shoot, but Connery insisted. Eventually, the studio relented, barely. Connery was given one morning. While he filmed in a housing estate in Slough, the Outland crew used his stunt double and shot around him. By lunch, Connery was back on the Outland set like nothing happened. Only Sean Connery could walk off one sci-fi movie to cameo in another before noon.
No, you're not. I appreciate what you do. I really do.
Number 6. Mid-shoot, Sean Connery slipped away to film his Time Bandits cameo. Terry Gilliam was shooting nearby and begged Connery to keep his cameo promise. Connery had suggested the scene weeks earlier and was determined to follow through. Problem? He was contractually obligated to be on the Outland set. Gilliam called Hyams directly. Hyams agreed to rearrange the shooting schedule for one day. The studio gave permission as a goodwill gesture. Connery disappeared for a morning. Shot his Time Bandits scene at a housing estate in Slough. The crew filmed around his absence using his stunt double. Connery showed up after lunch. Normal Outland filming resumed. Gilliam later confirmed this on the Time Bandits commentary track, calling Connery a man of his word. At least somebody got Connery when they wanted him. The Outland producers weren't thrilled, but they couldn't exactly say no to Sean Connery. Number 7. John Ratzenberger appears in the film. Yes, Cliff Clavin from Cheers. He plays a miner named Tarlo. His head explodes from decompression in the first 5 minutes. It's one of the opening death scenes that sets up the entire mystery. Ratzenberger's face inflates like a balloon inside his helmet before violently popping. Blood sprays everywhere. Critics later called it immensely gratifying to watch. This was years before Cheers made him famous. Just another working actor getting his head blown up for a paycheck. The explosive decompression effects became the most memorable and most mocked part of the entire film. They're scientifically inaccurate, but visually unforgettable. Ratzenberger probably didn't expect his exploding head to become a cult classic moment.
Fire! Please help me!
Number 8. Costumes, designed by John Mollo. The same designer behind Star Wars and Alien. Mollo created the utilitarian patch and cap aesthetic that made Outland feel connected to Ridley Scott's universe. The workers wear grimy jumpsuits with company patches, baseball caps with logos, tool belts, and work gloves. Everything looks worn and lived in. This was deliberate. Mollo pioneered the used future look for Star Wars in 1977. He refined it for Alien in 1979. By Outland in 1981, he had it perfected. The blue-collar space worker became an entire visual language. No shiny chrome spacesuits, no clean white uniforms, just regular people doing dangerous work in industrial hellholes. Fans legitimately theorize Outland exists in the same universe as Alien. Different companies, same corporate hellscape, all thanks to Mollo's consistent design philosophy across 3 major science fiction films. Number 9. The zero-gravity blood effects were done with real liquid suspended on wires, not optical effects. The FX team hung dyed water droplets on monofilament fishing line. They blew gentle air currents to make the droplets wobble like weightless blobs. It was painstaking work. Each droplet had to be individually rigged and timed. The monofilament was nearly invisible on camera. The wobbling liquid looked genuinely weightless. They also had to coordinate the droplet movement with the actors' performances. Everything had to be perfectly synchronized. Practical effects teams were doing insane work in 1981. No CGI. No digital compositing, just wire, water, food coloring, and infinite patience. Number 10. The film premiered using Warner Brothers' Megasound theater sound system. Outland was one of only 4 films ever to use it. Megasound installed huge subwoofers behind the screen. These weren't regular theater speakers. They were designed to physically shake the entire auditorium during explosions. The system required theaters to install extra equipment and speakers. Most theaters didn't bother. Too expensive for a single film. Warner Brothers pushed it anyway. The 70mm prints featured 6-track Dolby stereo, encoded for the Megasound option. If you saw Outland in a properly equipped theater, the explosive decompression scenes rattled your teeth. If you saw it in a regular theater, you got normal sound. Most audiences got the normal version. Warner Brothers' technical archives confirm only a handful of theaters actually installed the full system. Revolutionary audio technology wasted on a movie nobody went to see. Number 11. Despite strong reviews in major cities, the film absolutely tanked in small markets. The New York Times reported it was sensational in Los Angeles and on New York's East Side, but played poorly in Midwestern and Southern towns. Opening weekend brought in $3 million. Not terrible, but Warner Brothers had released it in fewer than 350 theaters. This was a platform release strategy. Open small, build word of mouth, expand slowly. The gamble failed spectacularly. The film dropped off hard in week 2. Small city audiences rejected it completely. Rural theaters pulled it after a few days. The space western concept worked for coastal elites. Middle America wanted nothing to do with Sean Connery fighting drug dealers on Jupiter's moon. Final domestic gross was around $17 million against an $18 million budget. Box office bomb.
Marshal, you know it's only been a couple of days since Sergeant Montano.
You're the new sergeant.
Number 12. Clark Peters appears as the treacherous Sergeant Ballard. Yes, Lester Freeman from The Wire. This was 21 years before David Simon made him famous. Peters plays one of the corrupt security officers who sides with the company against Connery's marshal. It was one of his first major film roles. Peters had been doing West End theater in London, stage musicals mostly. Outland gave him a small but memorable part as a villain. He doesn't have many lines, but he makes an impression. The character is slimy and cowardly, everything Lester Freeman wasn't. Peters' filmography shows he bounced around for decades, doing small roles before The Wire changed everything in 2002. Sergeant Ballard was just another paycheck in 1981.
Happens here.
How often?
I don't know.
Number 13. Frances Sternhagen won a Saturn Award for Best Supporting Actress. She almost stole the entire movie from Sean Connery. Sternhagen plays Dr. Lazarus, the cynical station doctor who becomes the Marshal's only ally. She has the best lines in the script. Sarcastic, world-weary, tough as nails, Fans and critics praised her as the film's secret MVP. Connery gets top billing, but Sternhagen steals every scene she's in. The chemistry between Connery and Sternhagen carries the movie. They're both professionals, stuck in a corporate nightmare, both too old to care about consequences. The Saturn Awards recognized what the Oscars ignored. Sternhagen delivered a powerhouse performance in a movie nobody watched. She's the reason Outland has any rewatchability at all. Number 14. Peter Hyams reused his fictional evil corporation, Con Amalgamate, from his earlier film, Capricorn 1. In Capricorn 1, from 1978, Con Amalgamate manufactured the defective life support system that caused the Mars mission conspiracy. In Outland, Con Amalgamate runs the mining operation and pushes the deadly drugs. Same company, same ruthless corporate ethics, different planets. Hyams created his own recurring Megacorp villain, like Weyland-Yutani for Ridley Scott, or Omnicorp for RoboCop. Con Amalgamate became Hyams' shorthand for faceless capitalism that kills workers for profit. The company appears in his director commentary as a deliberate choice. He wanted audiences who'd seen Capricorn 1 to immediately recognize the villains. Didn't matter. Most audiences hadn't seen Capricorn 1 either. Number 15. Many props, monitors, and industrial set pieces were reused from Alien and Moonraker. The production designer scavenged whatever he could from recent science fiction productions. CRT monitors from the Nostromo, control panels from the Bond film, random industrial equipment from Pinewood Studios' storage. This was standard practice for lower budget sci-fi films. Why build new props when perfectly good ones are sitting in a warehouse? The reused equipment added to the used future aesthetic. Everything looked worn because it literally was worn. Some of the tech had been through multiple productions. The blinking control panels had actual history. Modern audiences watching Outland might recognize specific props from Alien. Same universe theory confirmed by actual recycled junk. Bonus fact, Jerry Goldsmith scored the film fresh off composing Alien's soundtrack. Both scores designed to evoke isolation, remoteness, and fear in blue-collar space settings. Goldsmith used similar electronic textures and brooding brass arrangements. The Outland score sounds like Alien without the xenomorph. Dark, claustrophobic, relentless. Goldsmith had also scored Hyams' previous film, Capricorn 1. This was their second collaboration. The composer understood exactly what Hyams wanted. Dread and paranoia with occasional bursts of action. Too bad the score couldn't save the box office. Outland pioneered special effects technology that nobody appreciated. It gave us revolutionary in-camera compositing that modern filmmakers still study. The production was a disaster. Connery suffered in a 35-pound suit. The cinematographer was furious. The schedule ran long. The box office bombed. But the film survived. It found its audience on home video and cable. Directors like Duncan Jones cited it as inspiration for Moon. The used future aesthetic influenced decades of science fiction. Sometimes the flops matter more than the hits.